Mind Flayers are iconic to D&D, partly thanks to their raw psionic power. A single illithid has as high a CR as a giant ape, and seeing one means dozens more are lurking in the shadows. An illithid colony is perhaps the hardest dungeon to clear, thanks to its many powerful defenders and its innate awareness of the area around it. But you probably won't get to fight them on even ground, for these alien parasites are too cunning to reveal themselves. Welcome to Critically Misused, a show where we look at misunderstood aspects of D&D. On this episode, we'll be covering the Mind Flayers, hyper-intelligent aberrations that may have already won. What is a Mind Flayer? Most illustrations depict a purple humanoid with a squid-like face, which is correct, but not the full picture. An adult Mind Flayer comes from inserting a tadpole into a still-living humanoid through any of its facial orifices. The parasite consumes the brain and spine until it controls the entire body. The tadpoles are the real Mind Flayers, not the bodies they inhabit. Occasionally, a rare breed of Mind Flayer known as an illithid is born. The larger, stronger Mind Flayer has the ability to exert control over other illithids. It gathers its brethren round and leads them to a defensible position in the Underdark, a place with easy access to food and thralls. Once it feels comfortable settling down, it transforms into an Elder Brain, a powerful hive mind that overrules the wills of any nearby Mind Flayers. From the brine that the Elder Brain floats in, new tadpoles emerge, beginning the horde cycle anew. Mind Flayers are some of the most intelligent creatures in D&D, and are individually powerful enough to knock down settlements. It's not surprising, then, that they once ruled not just the Forgotten Realms, but the multiverse as a whole. They invaded world after world in their iconic nautiloid ships, posing an unstoppable threat to all sentient life. They were the undisputed rulers of the multiverse, until their empire fell to those they had subjugated. A woman named Gith began working in the shadows to overthrow the Mind Flayers. When she judged the time was right, she coordinated an assault against the illithids that led to all-out warfare, resulting in the near extinction of Mind Flayers across all settings. Conflict between Gith and her disciple Zeramon eventually fractured their efforts, splitting her species into the conquering Githyankai and the opposing Githzerai. With an opportunity to escape, the remaining Mind Flayers fled to the Underdark, out of range of the spacefaring Githyankai fleets. Here's where the major point of misunderstanding comes into play. Mind Flayers are constantly hunted by Githyankai, Githzerai, and Gem Dragons, who will catch a whiff of their presence if they set foot out of the shadows. Though the illithids are powerful creatures, they are not powerful enough to fight against the orbital bombardment of the Githyankai, or the gravitational waves of an amethyst dragon. They must keep their existence secret. Mind Flayer raids happen only in the most desperate times, when the colony has no other options to acquire food but to attack settlements directly. Any smart Elder Brain, which is all of them, no thralls are better acquired through subterfuge than combat. The easiest way to kidnap people is to have someone else do it for you. Mind Flayers will approach Underdark rulers and threaten them into handing over their criminals for food. As the colony grows bigger and more hungry, they demand more and more food, leading to less and less justifiable arrests. If the leader objects, the Mind Flayers will force them into subservience with a weaker version of their tadpoles. Since their most common target is the Drow, who all hate each other anyway, the colony will usually get away with it too. Despite the efforts of the Gith, the Mind Flayers are recovering, and preparing to reclaim their empire over space and time. They are already close to returning. In the far reaches of Wild Space, the setting that connects all other D&D worlds, Mind Flayers have begun making excursions to new lands. Their famous nautiloid ships are rare but present sights, despite the lucrative rewards given to any Githyankai that destroys one. Illithids act more civil now, understanding that they can only achieve their goals through bargaining with other races. But they'll all come flooding in like a tidal wave when the time is right. And if all that wasn't bad enough, the illithids of the material plane have begun experimenting with new types of thralls. They've always had a knack for creating monsters, manufacturing intellect devourers and cranium rats. But a new type of horror emerges when they stick their tadpoles into something other than a human. Mind witnesses are beholders subjugated to the tadpoles that have completely lost most of their abilities and intellect. They act as signal boosters for the Elder Brain, spreading its psionic reach further into humanoid territory. Mind worms are infected purple worms that can teleport you across planes directly into their stomachs. But these monsters are all harmless compared to the most dangerous Mind Flayer creation. Reach is important for an Elder Brain, as they move slowly and can only exert power over a small area. The Elder Brain Dragon flips that downside on its head, giving it the Elder Brain complete control of the sky. Instead of taking as many thralls as an area can produce, the Elder Brain ravages city after city on the back of an apex predator, kidnapping as many victims as survive the invasion. Its breath weapon creates mind flayers, for crying out loud. Without the Githyankai intervention, the Elder Brain could destroy a world, perhaps more if it had spelljamming technology. The Elder Brain Dragon represents a rapid escalation of threat, and should be killed on-site with all weapons available. It gets even worse. Mind Flayers aren't constrained by the flow of time, and have already altered the timeline to the point where they have always existed. I discussed this in my Kraken video, but I'll cover it again. Time in D&D isn't linear. Powerful beings such as Celestials, Fiends, or Aberrations constantly alter the flow of time, solidifying or wiping away the existence of entire species. Mind Flayers went back in time to secure their own existence to the timeline, hinting they were much more powerful at the height of their empire than we were first aware. Mind Flayers might even have the time travel to this day, and are biding their time, knowing they will rise again. Lithids are more dangerous than dragons, giants, and krakens combined. They are as far-reaching as civilization itself, and have wormed their way into nearly every mainline setting. Though they are forced to use covert tactics in the current age, should they ever come to power again, there wouldn't be a region of the multiverse left free from their grasp. They are powerful, they are ancient, and most importantly, they are smart. Only two creatures are as threatening to the existence as the Mind Flayers: the Clockwork Horrors and the Neogi. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. If you've made it this far, consider dropping a like and subscribing, and perhaps suggest a monster you'd like to see me cover in the comments below. Having hinted at this video since I discussed the World Enders, I feel much better finally covering it. Safe travels, until we meet again.